Ananta Kori Vaishnavinda ki jai. ISKCON Viviti Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham ki jai. Ganga Maya Jamuna Maya ki jai. Shrimati Tulsi Devi ki jai. Shrimati Bhakti Devi ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan Yadna ki jai. Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Samveda Bhaktivinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So, we're very fortunate today to have with us Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Gadim Yat Kripataraham Vande Shri Guru Niradharanam Paramananda Marvam Shri Chaitanya-ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So, this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is known as the ripened fruit of Vedic literature. The Vedic literatures are very vast, and Srila Vyasadeva took the one Veda and divided it into four. And he also put together the various itihasas, Puranas, but still, even though he had put all these literatures in written form, they're as old. Nobody can date knowledge. Knowledge is eternal. Right? So, understanding that Kali Yuga is coming and people's ability to grasp things quickly would be diminished, he got everything written down. But even after writing all these things, he was still feeling not complete. And at that time, Narad Muni met Srila Vyasadeva, and he explained to him that although you've given all these literatures, they're more or less encouraging people in the matter of sense gratification, karma or jnana, the real essence that you haven't given them. So Srila Vyasadeva, he understood this immediately, and then he began to write Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Because Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, there's 18 Puranas, and the Puranas are divided up according to persons who are in different modes of nature. There's persons in the mode of passion, and there's a Purana for them. There's persons in the mode of ignorance, and there's Puranas for them. There's persons more in the mode of goodness, and there's Puranas for them. But this Purana is known as the spotless Purana because it targets only one thing. And that thing, learned persons know, it's not available anywhere in this material world. You know, you could go to Brahmaloka and then go all the way down. Still you won't find this thing. And it's recommended that you look for this thing. This is what the human form of life is. And what is that thing? That thing is love of Godhead, bhakti. This is the thing that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam systematically takes a reader from the first canto, second canto, third canto, to inculcate in their heart this bhakti, love for Krishna. We have love for so many things, but our love is misdirected and it's actually soured. It's real love is for the form of Krishna, the name of Krishna, Krishna's pastimes. This evokes real love in the heart. And all of the material things in this world, they evoke love that's gone soured. Love is for Krishna, but love that's gone soured for something in this material world, it's called lust. So the lust is taken over our hearts, it's taken over our minds, it's taken over so many different parts of our body. The systematic reading of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it reestablishes within the heart the real love, which is love for Krishna, and love for Krishna and everything connected with Krishna. The devotees of the Lord, they see something and that reminds them of Krishna. And for the pure devotees, everything reminds them of Krishna. You know, we see a tree and we think, oh, that's this kind of tree. And maybe I can get fruits from that tree at a certain time of year. Right? We think of it more or less in terms of our sense gratification. Oh, that's sultry. I can make my door frames out of that. Or, you know, this is Brahma teak and I can make a nice cabinet out of that. How we're going to exploit that tree. Right? But a pure devotee sees it in a very different way. He sees the tree. Oh, it's made up of bhumir, apo, nalo, vayu, earth, water, fire. These are the elements of Krishna, right? And the tree is living. It's giving leaves, therefore the soul is present there. Right? And when the pure devotee thinks of the soul, he thinks of the Supreme Lord, who all the souls are connected to. So everything reminds him of Krishna. This is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the pure devotee, so the Bhagavatam is to bring us to that platform of pure devotion. And everything in the world reminds us of Krishna and our relationship with Krishna. In order to do this, the Nectar of Devotion explains a process given to us by Srila Rupa Goswami, and which is all based on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, developing our affinity for devotional service and devotional activities. So Bhagavatam is a very important literature. Out of the 5 aspects of it's called the Panchanga, the main processes of devotional service. 64 items in devotional service. But out of those 64 items, there's 5 that's main. And one of those is here in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So even a neophyte devotee, a newcomer, can relish these 5 angas, which are living in a sacred place, chanting the holy name, associating with devotees, hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Right? These are the main things, worshiping the deity. So, therefore, Srila Prabhupada has us every day attending the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it's mentioned that one should Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. One should hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. That Nityam Bhagavatam means Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya means regularly hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. There is a custom that one hears Bhagavatam for 7 days, right? Bhagavat Saptaha. But Srila Prabhupada explains, it doesn't mention anywhere in the Bhagavatam that you should hear the Bhagavatam for 7 days. Yes, Shukadeva Goswami, he heard Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam because he only had 7 days to live. Right? But that doesn't mean that we should be hearing Bhagavatam for 7 days. Prabhupada didn't emphasize that at all. Rather, every day, we should hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And that will be effective. And what is that effectiveness? To become attracted by Krishna, Krishna's form, Krishna's name, Krishna's pastimes. This will be the effect of hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam on a regular basis. And all the acharyas, whether it's Madhvacharya or Ramanuja Acharya, they all recommended hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, but especially the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Their main pramana for everything comes from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Srila Jiva Goswami in his Tattva Sandarbhas, he explains every philosophical understanding that's there in the Brahma Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya with the pramana from the Bhagavatam. So it's so important to read Srimad Bhagavatam, study Srimad Bhagavatam in terms of our development in spiritual life. And if you read the Bhagavatam, there's many benedictions that go along with certain pastimes of the Lord, like in the Dhruva or Prahlad's pastime with Lord Nrsimhadev. It says, if you read this, you'll get this. If you read this, you'll get this. If you read every day or you read, right, you'll get this. So many benedictions are there in the Bhagavatam. But all those benedictions are actually to bring us to the platform of being attracted by the pastimes of Krishna. That's why the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is known as the Sunambodham. It's the ultimate. And that's Krishna and Krishna's pastimes. So we just celebrated Janmashtami, and the Lord appeared specifically to attract the living entities to his pastimes. Everyone has an inclination to hear about something. They want to have a hero. Every play that's ever written is they got a hero, they got a heroine, and they meet, and everything happens after that. So Krishna does that. He comes. He's the hero, right? And he has his heroine. There's many heroines. And we become attracted by that. The difference in, so-called plays of this material world is that we never become satisfied with that. Right? We always have to have a new hero and a new heroine. Right? And in the material world, there's Spider-Man, Batman, and so many different so-called heroes that are there. Superman, Superwoman. But the original hero, the real hero, is Krishna. And so he comes to display his pastimes so that we'll be attracted by them. And by that attraction, we give up the attraction for this so-called material world, which is always changing. It's always in a flux. We become attached to a family and a particular place, right? But in our last life, we also had a family. We also came from a particular place, right? And after this lifetime, we'll have another family, and we'll come from a different place. Right? So the material world, that's always changing. And in the middle of all that, there's so many, Prabhupada says, inebrities, but there are many difficulties, so many problems that are there. So Bhagavatam is trying to attract us to become part of Krishna's family, right? To develop that lost relationship that we have with Krishna. The impersonalists are saying that God is not a person, he's light, energy, oneness, that this attachment for a particular form of God is imaginary, and when you become realized, everything is nirakar. Well, Prabhupada explains in the Bhagavatam that this kind of philosophy just leads people to more sense gratification. Because if they, the natural thing is to be in a relationship. It's natural to have a relationship. When you sit in a room alone by yourself, how long are you going to be able to do that? After a while, you think to go out and talk to somebody, right? You want to be with somebody. Call up your friend or whatever, and let's go out and do something, right? Just sitting, but the Mayavadis, that's their thing. Alone, oneness. It's not natural. Therefore, even though by their neti philosophy, that spiritual life is not this, it's not that, they look at everything in the material world and, oh no, it's not this. So they may rise up to a very high platform. Vimuktimaninas, and they think that, oh, I'm self-realized. Right? But again, they fall down to materialistic activities. Why? Because they don't interact with the lotus feet of the Lord. They don't have that service with the Lord. So this is what we're actually looking for, is that eternal relationship. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatamam prapadyante tamvistataiva vajami. All of them, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Right? So in the beginning of devotional service, we don't have a desire. We don't even have a desire to obtain Krishna. Right? We're looking for a desire to have a desire. If we had a desire, we'd be in good shape. We'd be on the right road. We don't even have a desire for that. We have a lot of desires, but not for that. And the mind is such a polluted thing, because when the living entity leaves the body, leaves the gross body behind, the bhumir, apo, nabo, vayu, right? It travels on the kamano buddhavacha, mind, intelligence, and false ego. It's the subtle body carries the living entity. Right? Prabhupada gives the example, Bhagavatam gives the example, just like the aroma is carried by the wind to your nostril. Right? So the aroma, and the wind are two different things. Same way, the subtle body is different from the living entity, but it carries that subtle body, that carries the living entity to the next body. So the mind that you had in your last life is still with you. Okay? All the impressions that are there from the previous life are still there in the hard drive. Right? And sometimes they manifest themselves. And you can't even imagine where that came from. They just kind of bubble up, Prabhupada says. Just bloop. So and Prabhupada explains that you may have an impression of a mountain, you may have an impression of gold in another lifetime, and in this life you have a dream of a golden mountain. So the mind is kind of recorded all these things in all the different lifetimes. So the mind requires new engagement. Its real business is just two things, the mind. Sankalpa and vikalpa, which means accepting and rejecting. That's all the mind. It's like a machine. Accept, reject, okay? And and after that, after the accepting and the rejecting, the intelligence comes into play. If you have go to the market and you see an apple, and you think, oh, I'd like to get that apple. I bet you that apple's good. And so then the mind's business is over. It's, I want to get that apple. Accept it. So then the intelligence comes in. And the intelligence works like this. Do I got any money? How much money do I got? Oh, I don't have any money. So, contaminated intelligence will think, maybe I can steal that apple. So this activity is going on all the time. The mind working with the intelligence for sense gratification. The purified mind is thinking, apple, oh, nice. I'd like to offer that to Krishna. Right? This is a purified mind. Same business, sankalpa vikalpa, accepting and rejecting, but on the basis of not sense gratification, but for the pleasure of Krishna. So Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, by reading regular Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we purify the mind. Mind becomes purified so that it works. It's going to continue to accept and reject, because that's what it does. But on the basis of what? The mind's been practiced to accept and reject things on the basis of sense gratification for so many lifetimes, so many different bodies. It's like, just completely natural for the mind. Now, when you come to Krishna consciousness, you're telling the mind, not anymore. And the mind's saying, oh yeah, we'll see. Right? But we have some very powerful assistants. Okay? When Dhruva Maharaj was fighting the Yakshas, they conjured up all of these different imaginary things in the form of dead bodies, blood, and pus, tridents, and swords coming at him. Right? But he had a weapon that was given to him by the Lord when he met him, called the Narayanastra. And as soon as he put that weapon in the bow, the arrow, the Narayanastra, the illusion was dissipated. So Prabhupada explains in the purport that in this Kali Yuga, we also have a Narayanastra, a very powerful weapon from Narayan. And that's in the form of Harinam Sankirtan. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The holy name, it's so powerful that it can dissipate almost instantly all our illusions, all our misconceptions, and gradually can start getting the mind working in a spiritual mode of accepting and rejecting things, not on the basis of what I like or what I don't like Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He said, well, if we fight our teachers and we kill our teachers and our cousins and our grandfathers, well, even if they're bad guys, our spoils will be tainted with blood. Who will we enjoy with if we kill them all? Like this. It's all thinking on the basis of sense gratification. So by the association of Krishna, he could get purified. Same way, in Kali Yuga, the sages in Namisaranga, they were very concerned because they knew Kali Yuga was coming. This is 5,000 years ago when Kali Yuga was starting. Treta Yuga was getting over, and Dwapara Yuga was getting over, and Kali Yuga was beginning now. When Maharaj Parikshit saw Kali beating a cow, he immediately drew his sword to kill him. Right? And then Kali surrendered. So he said, I'm surrendering unto you. He said, okay, you'll leave my kingdom, but your kingdom is everywhere. Where do I go? He said, okay, wherever there's these sinful activities, meat-eating, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication, you can stay there. He said, my Lord, none of these things are there in your kingdom. Where do I go? He said, all right, wherever there's the hoarding of gold, you can stay there. So he didn't, the effect started at that time when Maharaj Parikshit left the planet. And the sages could understand. So they wanted to have a fire sacrifice that could push the effects of Kali Yuga back by 1,000 years. That was a noble enterprise. But they couldn't pull it off. All they got was smoke in the face. They couldn't get it going. And just then they met Sutta Goswami. So Sutta Goswami, so they were very interested in how do we, the Kali Yuga's come in and Krishna, the protector of Dharma, has gone. What do we do? And he explains that the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in the Kali Yuga, this is represented, this is Krishna. And you'll get light from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It'll protect you, just like Krishna protected all the inhabitants of Braj. Bhagavatam will protect all the devotees. So therefore devotees are so attached to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Of course, we're struggling devotees and we're attached to a lot of things, and probably Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is way at the bottom of the list. Right? But by association, by regularly hearing the Bhagavatam, that relish for the message that's there, Krishna, in the form of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, can gradually be instilled in our hearts. So these are some of the benefits of Bhagavatam. And if we take advantage by regularly reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and stay in association with devotees, then all the effects of Kali Yuga, all the Kalir Doshini Heracha, and the bad effects, just like an ocean of bad qualities, is Kali Yuga. Very bad. People lie, they don't tell the truth for no reason. Really no reason they don't tell the truth. I give the example, and maybe I said before that we can understand why ladies don't want to tell their age, right? But now in Kali Yuga, even men don't want to tell their age. Right? Always 5 years less. This is Kali Yuga, not telling the truth. So, but there's this one, just by this hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam on a regular basis, our spiritual strength can become increased. Right? In order to do something materially, you need physical strength. But in order to overcome the material nature, you need spiritual strength. And that spiritual strength comes by hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Right? And also by practically applying Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in your life, the principles of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, to apply them in our everyday activities. And so there's the book Bhagavat and there's the person Bhagavat. And the person Bhagavat comes in the form of the spiritual master and gives us, the practical application of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So when in the prayers by the demigods to Krishna while he was in the womb of Devaki, there's one verse where the demigods are talking about practical engagements, right? Kriya Shu. So Prabhupada explains what those practical engagements are in the purport of that verse by the demigods, glorifying Krishna. And that Kriya Shu is that manual labor. Kriya Shu means practical work. And that manual labor of practical work is to, in our Krishna consciousness movement if you live in Radhakund, that's another thing, And we don't know what their work is in Radhakund because Prabhupada said, don't go there and stay in the Krishna Balaram temple. And he gave us our practical work. He said, our practical work revolves around distributing Krishna literature. Because that was the engagement that Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master gave to him, was if you ever get money, print books. And sell the books. Get more money, print more books. That was the engagement that he was given. And that's the engagement that he gave us, right? Get money, print books. So Prabhupada said that I followed that instruction blindly. I didn't know what would be the result. But in time, he could see the result. Right? I had a similar experience. We were distributing Marathi Bhagavad Gita, Jasya Tashi, Ya Ya Nagya Sarvani Ekade Gya Bhaga Bhagavad Gita. I know that much Marathi. So we sold a lot of Marathi Bhagavad Gitas. In those days, people in Maharashtra were very pious, very pious. Someone would come from a far off village and meet the devotees in the bus selling the Marathi Bhagavad Gita, and he would buy 10 copies and take them back to his village. Take his shoes off, pick up the Bhagavad Gitas, put them in his bag, then put his shoes, very pious people. So we sold so many copies of the Marathi translation of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. And I was always wondering, okay, some years went by, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. What's the practical result of that? And then Lokanath Swami Maharaj was installing the deities in Pandharpur. So we all went there. I think it was Radhastami Day. And at that program, I could see the result because there were thousands of devotees there that come for that function, all from Maharashtra. So Prabhupada clearly explained, distribute my books, everything will come. Money will come, men will come, everything will come. So this is the Kriyashu, this is the practical hard labor that Srila Prabhupada has given us. And he said that if you do this thing, this one thing of distributing my books, of course he also wanted us to read the books. One time he chastised us in the class. It was in Mayapur, one of the first Mayapur festivals. It might have been the first or the second international festival. He said very strongly, these books are not just for selling, they're also for reading. So Prabhupada wanted us to read the books, and Srila Prabhupada wanted us to distribute his books, both these things. And he said, if you do this, even if you're not able to think of Krishna at the time of your death, Lord Chaitanya will force himself into your mind and take you back to Godhead. So there you have it. Money back guarantee. If you buy a computer, maybe they'll give you a guarantee for 1 year or, parts of labor. But here from Prabhupada, there's a guarantee. Whole lifetime you can dedicate yourself. And he said, don't worry about anything. Somebody told in Prabhupada's name, and he was very upset, that very soon there'll be a world war, and then we won't be able to distribute books, won't be able to preach. And Prabhupada said, whoever said that in my name is nonsense. They say Prabhupada said, but I never said. He said that you can make your lifelong plans of distributing my books and preaching Krishna consciousness. There's nothing material that can stop it. So that's it. He's given us that engagement. He's given us the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. He's given us the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Everything is there, everything that we need to know. We don't need to go outside of that. Simply keep focused on reading, studying, and distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. It's a lifelong engagement. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions? Yes. Distribute the Transcend app. It's on the phone, if that's what you want to do. But, someone predicted at one point that, audiobooks and e-books are going to outdo printed books, but it hasn't happened yet. Still, 80% of the population prefers having a book in their hand, owning the book, seeing the book. It still has its attraction. Maybe in the future, who knows? But right now, it's 80% people prefer to buy books if they read books. A lot of people nowadays don't read books, but if they do, they like to have a book. So for that niche market of 20% that like to be on their phone all the time, then we have the Transcend app, which has all the books in audio format and ebook format. Any other questions? Does he have a question? What are the what? Seed. Three things. Okay. Srila Prabhupada, his ability to maintain purity. Srila Prabhupada, one time he was giving the class and there was a bell. Ting, ting, ting. It was an ice cream truck. And the ice cream truck, I don't know if they have, I don't think they have ice cream trucks here, but in the summer they ride around in a van and they ring the bell and the kids hear the ring of the bell and then they run to buy an ice cream. So Prabhupada, they were explaining that to Prabhupada because he hadn't heard it before. This was way back in the 60s, I guess. So then Srila Prabhupada said, oh, ice cream. Can we have some? And then the devotee said, well, Prabhupada, it's got eggs in it. And then he said, you see, Maya is always calling. So Srila Prabhupada, in every instance, can differentiate and maintain purity. He's in the world, but he's above the worldliness of the world. This is Srila Prabhupada's quality. And wherever Srila Prabhupada went, it was kind of like a festival. And although I wasn't with Prabhupada in so many places, but he came to Chicago, he came to Detroit. We went from the temple I was in up to Detroit and to Chicago to meet him. And the mood when Prabhupada was in the temple was like a festival, like Diwali or Christmas or any kind of festival time that you can think of. It was that same kind of mood, very special time. So wherever Srila Prabhupada went, it was like being in Vrindavan, a very special time. And Srila Prabhupada taught by his example. When we were with him in Detroit, he was coming out of the Detroit temple and he was going to go on his walk. And he used to get in a car and they drove him to some park and then he would have his morning walk and then he'd come back and greet the deities and give class. So he had a cane and on his way out, there was a brahmachari there. He was offering his obeisances. And Prabhupada pointed, he said, he said something to Brahmananda, but I couldn't hear it, but I knew he was pointing because that brahmachari had a big hair, right? And then I saw the next day, Srila Prabhupada came down and he had shaved his head. Right? So he was teaching by example, always teaching by example. And if you're with Srila Prabhupada, we didn't expect things like that, but some mystical things would happen with Prabhupada. And the same time that he was in Detroit, we went to the Radha Damodar Traveling Sankirtan Party, those devotees, the devotees from St. Louis, which I was part of, we went with him on the morning walk. So we're walking down the path, and there, I don't know, a lot of devotees that were there, and Prabhupada wasn't talking much. Sometimes he didn't talk much. And this particular morning, he wasn't talking. He was just chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Devotees were following. And one devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, they don't keep this park very nice. And he said, park? This is not a park. It's a jungle. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. So as we were walking, then out of the woods came a deer. And the deer came on the path. And the deer was looking right at Srila Prabhupada the whole time. And, you know, there's like 50 devotees behind Srila Prabhupada. And the deer was just focused. And when Prabhupada came close, the deer stepped off the path and went into the forest. So Prabhupada the whole time was Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And one devotee said, Prabhupada, when we come here, the deer are afraid of us and they run away. The deer wasn't afraid of you because you're a pure devotee. Prabhupada didn't say anything. He just Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And just then, another deer came out. Same thing happened. The deer is looking right at Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada's were coming closer and closer. The deer wasn't afraid. And when Prabhupada got very close, the deer stepped off the path and went to the forest. And Prabhupada said, turned to us and said, maybe you're right. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Any other questions?
Share some distribution stories from Maharashtra.
Well, my memory's kind of faded, but you know, if you ever catch Bhagawan Das, he's got a really good memory for all the things that happened in Maharashtra. But we got a lot of support from, you know, people in general. We had a huge bus with Lord Jagannath in the back of the bus, and it was a full-size bus. So parking it wasn't easy, but many people cooperated with us. I remember that. But sometimes they would give us a hard time. Move your bus, move your bus. And people, sometimes they were so pious that they would give us electrical connection from their shop. You know. But this one particular person just wanted us to move, and he was shouting, and we just wouldn't move, right? So, and we'd have the, you know, tape playing Prabhupada's Hare Krishna Doom and selling books. So he went to get the police, and he brought the, you know, inspector from the police station, and then said, they're in front of my shop. And so the policeman is looking to see what we're doing. And we explained to him, one of the devotees told him in Marathi, you know, we're distributing Bhagavad Gita. And, you know, he's looking at the Bhagavad Gita. And finally he turned to the shopkeeper and he said, what are you, Muslim? They're selling Bhagavad Gita. And then he left. So like that, preaching in Maharashtra was good. A lot of good experience we had. But we always shut down the table after 9 o'clock. We never tried to do beyond that. Although there were people out, but the people out after 9 o'clock are all the pinawalas. And one thing you never want to do is to preach to drunk people because they just waste your time. Two things that we learned. You don't waste your time with Christians and drunkards. Right? And after 9 o'clock, that was all that was out there. So we would close the table at 9 o'clock. And then we go, devotees traveling, we park the bus next to a river or some source of water, get up around 5 o'clock, and there would be Mangal Artik of Lord Jagannath. And we would have after that we'd channel japa while the dressing was going on for Lord Jagannath. We'd have Bhagavatam class. At the same time they were having Bhagavatam class, we're cutting up some subjis to put in the khichdi. And then they would, after Bhagavatam, we'd have the offering and another kirtan. And then we'd go out on Sankirtan, park the bus in the market somewhere, and distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. That was our regular routine, traveling in Sankirtan. I remember we went, the first time we got the full Marathi Bhagavad Gita, that we took it to Pandharpur. We had 1,000 copies. We went to Pandharpur. It was a Shari Ekadasi. Lokanath Swami was with us, and we were distributing Marathi Bhagavad Gita. And that day we sold the whole 1,000 Bhagavad Gitas there in Pandharpur. So there's so many things that happened, but like I said, Bhagavan Das is a really good person to ask because he remembers all the details. Any other questions? So many arguments. I mean, Prabhupada, what he did with Christians, I'll tell you very specifically. He never went past one point, only one point. They would try to go here and go there, and he would, only one point. And that was this point. He said, you say you're Christian. Yes, I'm Christian. But you're not following Christ. Oh, I'm following Christ. No, Christ said, thou shalt not kill. Huh? Oh, then why are you eating meat? Bus. Never went beyond that. Why? Because Bhagavatam says clearly, anyone will relish the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam except for the killer of animals and the killer of the soul. So unless they got past that point, what you'll talk to them? You're simply spinning your wheels, wasting your time. So he just, if you see that conversation between Srila Prabhupada and the bishop, the French bishop, Yogeshwar's there, just hammered that point again and again and again. Hare Krishna. Well, Srimad Bhagavatam explains in the 12th canto, 12th chapter, 12th canto, 13th chapter, 13th verse, that if one puts the Bhagavatam on a golden throne and donates that to someone on the Bhadra Purnima, they'll obtain the Param Gati, the highest destination. What's the highest destination? Love for Krishna. Right? So that's a very important Bhagavatam. There's also a statement in the Padma Puran, and that Prabhupada mentions in a purport in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, that any full moon night, if you do that, you'll get the benefit, right? One time we were in Bangalore, and there was one devotee, and myself, we were doing the Sunday feast program. So I was talking about Bhagavatam, and he was taking the orders, because this full moon, it was a full moon night. Full moon was that night. So we did about 15 sets in the program. So then we went to another temple, ISKCON temple in Bangalore, and he told me that, you see, at this temple, we probably won't sell so many sets because the devotees there, their income isn't so high, so they may not take so many sets. So I thought, okay, no problem. So again, I was talking about Bhagavatam, and he was taking the orders, and there actually we sold more sets than we sold in the other place. Sold about 20 sets at that place. So you can sell Bhagavatam. You don't have to wait till the full moon night. You can try and sell Bhagavatams all the time, and that will help a lot of people if they can get Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Prabhupada mentions that even if they keep the Bhagavatam in their house, It's like Krishna's in the house. And there wouldn't be a benefit. Definitely there will be a benefit. What to speak if somebody actually opens the Bhagavatam and reads it. There's so many examples of devotees that became devotees because they found somebody else's book. This one devotee, his name was Ishwar Patti. So Ishwar Patti, he worked at a gas station and they had a car wash in the gas station, right? So somebody had bought teachings of Lord Chaitanya, cleaned out their car and threw it away. So he saw the book that they had thrown away. He read the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. He became a devotee. The IIT Powai, it has a set of Bhagavatams that was put there by the original BBT library party that was from America. Right? They had gone there and sold a set to the library in IIT Powai. So that set's still there, distributed by those devotees in the 70s during Srila Prabhupada's time. And from that, not many students checked it out or read it, right? But one student did, and he read the Bhagavatam, and he became a devotee here in Juhu. His name's Mukunda Madhava. And there's another devotee here in Juhu. Same thing happened. He was in a master's degree course in mathematics. He found the Bhagavatam in IIT Powai, and he also became a devotee, Gokuleshwar Prabhu. So you never know how this Bhagavatam, it's so, who it's going to grab, when it's going to grab them. So our business is to try to get the Bhagavatam out there to people, get it in their homes, and somebody's going to take advantage of it. One doctor that I met in Kerala when I took my wife down to Kannur for treatment. So he got a Bhagavad Gita from us, and we're still in touch with him. And later on, he got a Bhagavatam, right? So his mother, he doesn't get time to read the Bhagavatam, but his mother reads the book every night. He has two sons, and they sit on their grandmother's lap, and they ask they see the pictures, and they ask, what is this, what is that? So not only his mother, but his own sons are getting advantage of Bhagavatam. So our business is to somehow or another distribute Bhagavatam and read Bhagavatam, and Krishna will do the rest. Any other questions, thoughts, comments? What time is it? 8 o'clock. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi.